Hey, what's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and I'm a tester for New World, Amazon's new upcoming open-world mmorpg. And while I haven't played a tremendous amount of time in the current alpha, I was flown out to California twice to go to Amazon Studios to play the game and give feedback on the build that they were building and the direction that they were going. And that was me and many other content creators, influencers, Twitch streamers, and YouTube content creators. I got to meet a lot of awesome people there, such as Nerd Slayer, Lazy Peon, and many people from the ARC and survival game genres of, content creation. Really cool stuff there, but it was pretty obvious that the game was going to be one way and now has turned into something different. And now we're going to be reporting on the news here. They're delaying the game. And it's certainly just because, they even say it really, but it's because there's not enough content with the new direction that they're going. And I want to know your thoughts and feelings before we dive into this rant. What do you guys think about Amazon New World really switching and pivoting from being a PvP game to being kind of a PvE-focused game that has PvP? Maybe we could even say it's almost half and half, but that's debatable. What do you think about a game that changes direction so intensely? The game didn't release, so is that fine? And what about this huge delay? It's going to be almost a year, actually. It's coming out in spring 2021. So, I'm going to give you my thoughts, my feelings on it as well. And as well as, since I am a content creator, I can actually see the scope of what you guys feel. So I'm going to give you a generalization. But basically, a lot of people were initially pretty excited for New World. It's going in a genre that people were really hungry to find something new in. We play ARC, and we play, Rust or some similar games like that. But those barely, sometimes, like maybe a server might reach an MMO, player count, but generally you wouldn't consider those MMOs. I actually had some of my best sandbox MMO experiences in Minecraft, and I'm sure a lot of you guys could probably say something similar, but really, not too many actual MMO sandbox PvP games were popular, were well received, or actually good, or really do even focus actually on the PvP, such as Black Desert Online. Even actually the game Albion Online has many mixtures of PvE elements and Care Bearness, so a game that really was more inspired by survival games was really exciting because it was going to be hardcore, it was going to be truly open world, it was going to have base building, all this stuff, but it was going to be with magic and medieval melee, Dark Souls style combat. People were looking forward to that. And a few games have come out in that vein, I believe. So we've had like Dark in Light, we've had Citadel Forged in Fire, you can even say like the Conan game. There's been a few, and they've done okay. Conan actually did really great, I think. But overall, still wasn't that epic MMO from, a big AAA studio that we really wanted. And New World would have had so many players from so many games. I'm talking like Darkfall players, Mortal Online players, obviously from survival games. A lot of guilds, giant guilds, were really looking forward to playing this game, even from games like EVE Online, which mechanically are very, very different. But we just wanted a new sandbox MMO. And so with that envision, with that niche that they were going to tackle, they got a lot of content creators and they got a lot of people from those genres to actually play the game, test the game. And I guess over time, what they found was that their game was not good enough in that respect of being a hardcore, proper game. I can't tell you exactly why, what reasons why, because NDA, but it just wasn't good enough in that respect. And at the same time, would the audience really be big enough? And that's all up to debate. Marketing is really just kind of a bunch of bogus shit anyways. But it looks like what their marketing team determined was that we should add PvE, we should add this and that, to gather more of a player base, bigger player base. And there were some really cool ideas, to be honest. There was some really fun stuff. So what they've added now we have these weird like arenas. So it's kind of like a Dark Souls boss kind of encounter, more of like a Monster Hunter sort of arena situation. Then they've added like wave survival aspects to where you build up your base with your guild, and then like this horde of enemies will come and try to tackle it, and you have to defend them. Okay, that's really cool too. And then they've also added in, a bunch of like open world stuff, more just focus on PvE. They've added more fantastical elements to the combat as well, more defined roles it seems, and it just overall is going in a more general MMORPG direction. But the thing that really kind of chafed everyone was the fact that they just straight up removed open world PvP and replaced the PvP with a sort of esporty 50 versus 50 situation. They added factions and things like that. Now, that's okay for a lot of people, and that actually is going to get a lot of people on board with playing this game, but you have to realize they just added and gutted basically aspects that were not part of the main, they added a bunch of stuff that was totally completely outside the realm of what they were originally going to do, and then they gutted the core component of what they were aiming to do with the game. And then they were going to launch within like 3 months of doing that. There just is not enough content, because the problem with PvE games is that you have to continuously update them, create content, and that's basically what they're saying here. So they made a tweet, and then you can go onto their website. The full notice, New World update, guys. So this just happened July 10th. It just happened yesterday, and they're stating here, with our August 25th launch approaching, we have been scrutinizing our feature list, taking input from our alpha audience, and listening to what they enjoyed or didn't about the current game. We are incredibly grateful for all the support and suggestions from our alpha players, ranging from the folks who spent thousands of hours in New World to those who just sampled. It's all valuable. Now I would just criticize the fact that, it really seems like what they're doing is they're focusing on trends online. It really seems like they're looking at what people are just saying online versus their testers. I don't know. As a developer, it's hard to just, listen to a group of people. Do you listen to your fans? Do you listen to the general audience of who could be playing your game? Do you not listen to anybody and just go with your vision? I don't really know the direction, but it does seem like they're flip-flopping a lot, and it seems like their development process, as inspired as I was by it, is it the right thing, actually? I don't know. So continuing on. I'm proud of the hard work the team has done. And by the way, this is by Rich Lawrence, the studio director. Making the game ready for launch with the features we intended for release. We also have a list of features that we plan to start working on once we're in live development, as that is part of operating an MMO. When we examined the feedback we received over the last several months from our alpha audience, we saw that players like the game, and they would like to see even more of it. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what they are actually saying. Is that basically they didn't have enough of the game, because essentially, really, it's almost as if they started making the gameplay loop, the real game, 3 months ago. Yeah, sure, they've had the engine up, they've had, like how to swing a sword or certain monsters in the game, but really the proper gameplay loop, what we will actually be doing in the MMO, drastically changed a few months ago. And so it had to be basically rebuilt. And the proper vision of New World was really set in stone a season ago. And that's going to take way more testing, especially for something that is a living, breathing world that, needs to continuously be updated. So we need a certain amount of content to start the game, or else you're going to have a situation like Last Oasis, where it was a fun game, like 30,000 people bought the game and played it, and now under 2,000 people play it. Happens all the time with MMOs. You do need a set amount of content, or else it will fail. However, you can get past that with repetitive content, such as PvP content. So they did PvE content, which is one and done style content, and now they're going to have delays. And now, as well, since it seems like they can't understand the scope of what they're doing, it's a little bit worrying that when the game actually does launch, that it's, it'll be fine for a month, but are they going to update the game as frequently as it needs to be updated? Even big studios have issues with that. Overwatch, looking at you. So, are we actually going to have enough content to make this game last a year? Just because it lasts a month and it's fun for a month, yeah, that's good. Okay, we'll get our money's worth. But that's not really what we want in an MMO. We want the next World of Warcraft. We want the next Final Fantasy XIV, the game that's going to last us years and years through all these updates, because that's the point of MMOs for most people. And that seems to be the point that they've made New World. Anyways, so there's actually some extra news here to kind of make up for this extended development time. So they say, as a result, we will be changing our launch date, right? So that's going to be happening, and correspondingly the final beta test to spring 2021. However, they don't take the decision lightly, and what they're actually going to do is obviously they're going to be additions to the game. It's going to be a higher quality than it would be, right? There's that quote from Mr. Miyamoto that a bad game is forever bad. Okay, but a delayed game is eventually good, something like that. Anyways, but I don't know if I necessarily believe that. The hype can die, as well as this is still kind of a bad sign in a way. You can delay a game forever, Duke Nukem forever, but it doesn't mean it'll be good. Anyways, but we actually will be able to play the game pretty soon here. So people who signed up for the beta, people who bought into the game pre-ordered, August 25th, there will actually be a time you can play the game in its sort of full experience as it is, standing right now. So you can jump into the game August 25th. If you pre-ordered, you signed up for beta, alpha testers, if you're in it, just like me, we can all play it in its current edition right now, coming August 25th. So to close out the video, I do want to kind of give you my thoughts and feelings on everyone else's thoughts and feelings, because I can very clearly see that. I join all the forums, the Discords, the Reddits. I see in stuff and things, and basically what everyone has been saying, and I'm sure the comments will also repeat it, is that this game is something to look forward to. We're going to look forward to it. It's a big AAA studio. It's a brand new studio. They got a lot to prove. But at the same time, there's been some things outside of their influence that has kind of changed things. Such as the fact that, particularly the New World team, but Amazon Studios has failed 2 games so far. In fact, it's kind of been a clown show, to be honest. So how can we trust their handling of New World, which itself is obviously floundering, let's be honest. They're changing how they're going to make the game, they're doing all this and that, and that's just a little worrying. But then again, that's happened recently with a similar game called Albion Online, and it's actually doing fantastic now. So it's not impossible. It could still be great, and time will tell, but just people are a little worried. That's all. People are a little worried, and it might hurt the early adopters, but at the same time, it does kind of look like a cool game, right? And I think a lot of people will be interested in the game, especially with the horde-based survival kind of stuff. But depending on the mechanics, I just don't think this game is going to have that much replayability. Is the base building really going to be as fun as like 7 Days to Die? Is the combat really going to be as engaging as Dark Souls? Or probably not, because the AI cannot be as intense inside of an MMO. And in terms of an MMO, the progression and everything, is it just going to be a grindathon like we see in games like EVE and Albion Online? Are you actually going to pull from those games and get more players? It just seems like it's spreading itself really thin. Is this game going to be for hardcore PvPers, for PvEers? Is it a game for everyone? Because at the same time, it still has those notes of, kind of has that vibe of, yeah, it's kind of more of a hardcore, intense game. So a lot of people just feel kind of alienated because they were interested in this game and now they're not. And at the same time, it's really hard to pull people away from games like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV. Just look at Guild Wars 2. It's doing okay, but it hasn't really stolen players. Is this going to be another one of those games where you could say, yeah, it's one of the bigger MMOs, but then again, the genre is kind of in a toilet bowl anyways, so, is it going to be a Guild Wars 2? Or is it going to be a Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft? Is this going to be a big MMO? So hopes and dreams, I'm going to tell you what I think and pretty much what everyone else thinks. It's just going to be, it's going to be average. It's going to be average. I think at best hopes, it'll be average. In worst case scenario, are we going to have a Crucible? Is this game going to shit the bed? Is it going to flounder? And I think Amazon Studios actually has a tremendous amount of inspiration for this game, actually. I think even with all the flip-flopping, it could still do well, and I think that they have so much incentive to do so, to really show off their server, software, hardware, to really show off what they can do as a service, and then to continuously update games, and maybe from there, it's kind of like how Unreal does like or Epic, how Epic does the Unreal Engine. They make games to really show off Unreal, the, game maker and the engine, and it kind of, they make Unreal, and then they make Gears of War, and they made Fortnite to show like, oh, this is all the cool stuff you can do with our engine, use our engine to make games. I think it's kind of going to be like that. So New World is especially special when it comes to their suite of games that they were producing. So I don't think, Crucible failing is just a death knell, but it's a thing, and a lot of people are worried about it. Plus, New World does look like it's just kind of taking a lot of marketing terms like Souls-like combat, and then base building, and it's like, it's like open world PvP, and it's just like here and there, it looks like they just took marketing terms and threw it together and saw what stuck on Twitter and what didn't. And it seems like maybe now in this direction with more PvP focus and stuff like that, more and more people are talking about it because it's more of a general fantasy MMORPG. Yeah, I think they're doing that more so than just listening to testers, because if they just listen to testers, I don't see how it would be possible at all that they completely switched genres. Can you imagine somebody who is passionate about PvP sandbox MMO, which were most of the people who were invited to test the game early on? How in the world? Nobody said anything. I can't say that, but basically, from what I can tell, I just don't believe that somebody would be like, oh yeah, just completely gut the open world PvP. So it's just very strange. But then again, I'm still fine with the direction they're going in. You know, there's a choice, that's fine. It's just weird. You know, the flip-flopping, the delays, all that, it is kind of spelling a little bit of doom and gloom, especially when the game is, when it launches, is this going to keep happening? Are we going to have expansions constantly delayed? Are we not going to get new weapons, new monsters fast enough? That's the big issue I have with the game, and I'll still play it, and I still think it's going to be at least an average game, but my hype to, you know, believe that it's going to be the best, you know, next big thing, no, I don't think so now. So that's just my thoughts and feelings. I'm sure you guys can echo a lot of those thoughts, but let me know in the comments below. Much love, friends and family. I'll see you August 25th when we get to actually try out the game in its current state. See ya!